It's already lies. Nolan, I'm so sorry. Why you scrub your social media? Why? Oh, it's already lies. Just tell us what really happened to Nolan. How did he get in that water? Oh, Mississippi, stand up right now. Why the hell they so silent? If you know you didn't do it, and if you can prove it, just say it out loud. Oh, 18 years young, football dreams in his hands, out on Horn Island with the so-called friends. Boat trip for the 4th, celebrating life, but he never made it back, left in the night. Mama posted, calling for help on the net, 2 days searching, heart full of pain. Now the body found, but the story don't add up. Phone left behind, strong swimmer. What the fuck, something just not right. The silence deafening, scrubbing timelines, deleting, no confessing. Nolan Wells, copper spirit shining bright. Most High knows the truth in the pale moonlight. Family grieving, but they standing tall. Been Crump on the case, demanding justice for y'all. Why you scrub your social media? Why? Oh, it's already lies. Just tell us what really happened to Nolan. How did he get in that water? Oh, Mississippi, stand up right now. Why the hell they so silent? If you know you didn't do it, and if you can prove it, just say it out loud. Oh, Nolan's Wells family, please excuse me. I know you're grieving, but good God, this don't make sense to me. Baby in the water, how he ended up there alone. Friends came back without him, stories changing on the phone. Independent autopsy coming, truth gon' rise. Toxicology, deleted messages, no more lies. Mississippi Delta ancestors watching close. We walk together, can't let another young king ghost. Them folks ain't kinfolk, hold yourself accountable. If it's foul play, speak now, make it audible. Peace be still in the storm, but justice first for Nolan. For the family, excuse my burst. Oh, Nolan, I'm so sorry. Your light still shines. My God bless you, may he protect you. Justice for your son, your baby. Something just not right. Oh, Mississippi, stand up right now. The Most High sees it all, no hiding in the dark. Hell no, we demanding answers while you scrub your social media. Oh, it's already lies. Just tell us what really happened to Nolan. How did he get in that water? Oh, Mississippi, stand up right now. Why the hell they so silent? If you know you didn't do it, and if you can prove it, just say it out loud. Oh, Nolan, I'm so sorry. Justice for Nolan. We all we got, ancestors never left. Mississippi, stand up. Ooh, peace be still. Truth first, Nolan Wells, your story ain't over. Justice for Nolan.
All right, hello, Grand Rising, everyone. Thanks for tuning back in once again to the original Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur show. I'm your host, Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur, and this is your morning wake-up call. So as you're coming in, please feel free to go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Be sure to click that notification bell and click the word all so you're notified each time the Queen Goddess goes live. All right, so let's get ready to get into it. Hello, 504 Nola, Nessa X, Pearly, Christopher, Lillian X, DJ Big Six, Candy Girl, Just Anticipate, Coco Marshmallows, Bronze Flat Power God. All right, let's get into it. Just you. Okay, Danielle, Alice, 27 DD. All right, Danny Joe, 57 Beige Fox, Buckhorst DC. All right, so shout out to all of my loyal roles and everyone tuned into the Queen. Okay, let's get ready to get this party started. I see you, Nessa G. Okay, so Earth Angel is here. All right, Tanya, Coco Feathers. All right, DJ The Truth TV. All right, so hey, Christopher, beloved. And shout out to everyone else in chat, everyone tuned into the Queen, and a big shout out to my moderators, because y'all know they be putting in work. Okay, so now let's have a brief word from my sponsor at 12 Tribes before we get started.
Do not buy 12 Tribes on Earth hair growth oil and hair magic elixir unless you want super healthy, gorgeous hair that grows. They have a whole line of amazing hair growth products, including hair growth leave-in conditioner spray, hair growth shampoo, hair growth spray, and hair growth butter. I'm starting to sense a theme here. They include quality natural ingredients. They smell amazing, and you can see the results for yourself. So if you're looking for healthy hair growth for your natural or relaxed hair, try 12 Tribes on Earth today.
All right, so don't forget you can purchase 12 Tribes products at Etsy.com. Just look for Lisa Crafts. You can also find her products at Walmart.com. And don't forget that she sells beard oil as well. Okay, so let's get ready to get into it. Hold on, I'm trying to see something here. Now, someone said, what is going on here? Someone said that YouTube had the broadcast scheduled for 10:30. Let me just double check and see what they have going on. Hold on, beloveds. I don't know how that could have happened. Okay, let me see here. Okay, so with that all being said, let's go ahead and get into it. Okay, and likes up, everyone, please like and share. Don't forget to hit that like button. It doesn't cost you a single thing. All right, so there's a lot going on with this case. There is a whole lot going on with this case, and we're about to get into some of it. Okay, so Jayvon Williams and his mother, Tashema, they were interviewed, and we're going to get into that. And as well as the coach, okay, he was interviewed as well. So we're going to talk about all of those things. But before we do, I want to share some videos from TikTok, a couple of videos of what people are saying. Also, my friend Secret Service Sam got some information from one of the witnesses, but the information seems a little bit sketchy. Seems like they're trying to blame this on Jayvon and Tracestin. And didn't I tell you all that's what was going on? You see, this is what happens when you try to be the token black. Okay, and you want to sit up here and try to defend the people that everybody's pointing the finger at. You see, now the fingers are starting to point at you. Okay, I told you all this days ago. But we're going to get into it. And also, let me just say this. There were thank you, Tanya. Tanya says, yes, you did. Thank you, beloved. There were also two Black women who came out and did a video saying that they know someone who works at the transport, where they pick up the bodies and then transport them to the medical examiner's office or what have you. And so they were talking about what this person told them. I really don't think that was a good move. I don't think they should have done that because of the condition they were talking about Nolan's body was in. I would have preferred they said those things to his family, maybe, or ask the family if it was okay for them to come out with that, because just to me it was just a little bit disrespectful. And I don't think they were trying to be disrespectful. I think they were trying to be helpful, but I just don't think it was a good idea. And you know how sometimes people do things before they really think it through, because people react out of emotion very often. That's what some people do. And so I think they didn't really think it through, and I just don't really think it was a good idea. And I don't even know if I want to say what they said, okay? But the autopsy report's coming soon, hopefully. So before we get into the Nolan business, I want you all to see this video where an Afro-American scholar, I don't know why they call him Afro-American, I'll say African-American scholar, destroys a wanton supremacist, they say. That is the caption on the video. So I'm going to share my screen so we can check this out, because this just goes to show how they try to paint propaganda, spew propaganda and paint these narratives on the Black community, and they just really have nothing to say when they're called out on their BS. Okay, and moderators, do me a favor and watch out for any trolls that you may see. Okay, and these trolls are getting pretty crafty. Okay, they're getting pretty crafty, so just make sure you're paying attention. Okay, thank you. All right, here we go.
Such as higher crime rates
Hold on, what did I have going on here?
or high illegitimacy rates that could explain their position vis-a-vis whites, and can those be explained by some dominant social group?
No.
No to the first one, or
No to both.
So there's no.
I mean, there's a propagandistic mechanism that's afloat about, Black illegitimacy and Black criminality. I guess it depends on what kind of crime you have in mind. If we think about which community in the United States has the highest degree of history of violence, that's unquestionably white Americans. Unquestionably. I mean, I'm not sure if you're aware of the 100 massacres that were conducted between the end of the Civil War and World War II that were directed against Black communities throughout the United States, in which thousands of Blacks were killed and the white terrorists appropriated Black-owned property. So there's no segment of the population that has a greater history of violence than white Americans. So when you talk about these kinds of matters to me, you're actually mouthing a set of propagandistic claims that are made on the right in the United States, and they do not have a foundation in fact.
All right, so
Sorry, we need to move on with the last two questions.
Thank you. Yeah.
thanks for coming today.
Okay, so see how they try to spew the propaganda. They love to come with a Black on Black crime and all of those painted narratives. We've gone over it 1,000 times at least on this channel about what they do. And, here's the thing. Now, just like the professor said when he was speaking to the gentleman that asked the question, he basically told him who has the history of violence. Okay. And you see, here's the thing. That's the same thing that I was saying yesterday to the two little mega minions who came in here trying to accuse me of being racist because I'm calling out racism. And, quite frankly, his tone was a whole lot different than mine. He was nice about it. I'm not nice. Okay. I'm not nice to the mega minions. I'm not. Sometimes I may just talk to them casually or whatever, but for the most part, I'm very stern with them because I want to know them. Don't come here with that. Don't come here trying to spew narratives, and trying to debunk the truth, because that's what you're not going to do. And if you don't like what's being said, you can leave. Okay, so I just want you all to see that. And even though we already know this is how it goes. So now with that being said, let's get into this information about Nolan. Like stuff, everyone, please like and share. And thank you in advance. I'm going to share my screen.
We're told plans are in the works for Nolan Wells' funeral services. According to Sam Voisin, the executive director of the Mississippi Coast Coliseum and Convention Center, the board approved the use of the center to hold services next Monday. They're in close communication with family reps and are still working to confirm details for the service. A formal announcement is going to follow up once everything is finalized.
Okay, so they're planning for his funeral, and people have been asking if his friends are going to be invited. Well, first of all, you don't get invited to a funeral, it's not a wedding. And quite frankly, I don't think they would come anyway. Well, it would be the nerve of them, as far as I'm concerned.
Service Sam here with a Nolan Xavier Wells update. Now, this guy named Paxton was on a TikTok live claiming that the pool photo was from 2 weeks prior, not June 27th. Check it out.
And all those people are my friends in the photo. And this party was like 2 weeks before. Like, this was not the same day as July 4th. And none of those people in the front of the picture have anything to do with Nolan. Like, that picture is just like 2 weeks earlier and has nothing to do with that. And all my friends in the picture are receiving death threats over something they have nothing to do with. So I was there. Like, my best friend is like right next to him on the right.
You in this photo?
No, I was on the side because there's the basketball goals in the back and there's chairs on the right, and I was laying down.
Are you on
This
the island?
wasn't even at Evan's house. This is at another person. Evan lives in Bay St. Louis. This is in Pass Christian, Mississippi.
Well, they never said what house this was. Then you
Well,
giving
the allegations online say this was at Evan's house after, so I was just clarifying.
Okay, were you on the island?
I was on the island, but I'm not friends with Nolan's group. I'm a year older, and I was just there because they were a class under me at my old high school. I go to college, so I was invited to go that night, and I left early.
So you being a year older makes you not friends with because they're younger than you?
No, I was so Nolan is from Ocean Springs, and the people in the front of the picture are from the Bay. So we went to different high schools. So when I graduated, my friends in the front started becoming friends with them because we graduated. If that makes sense. He's class of 25. I'm class of 24. So like when I graduated, both of those groups started becoming close.
I have a question. So
Go ahead.
Do you know of the girl that his friends, his air quotes around friends, said that he was last seen with?
No, that girl wasn't at this party.
No, I'm talking about, did you interact with her while on the island?
What do you guys make of this? I understand different years, different friend groups, everything. They weren't friends. But what I keep getting caught up on is he keeps saying this was 2 weeks prior and not June 27th. He, to my knowledge, is the first person saying this was 2 weeks before, not a week before. And again, why was this posted in a July 4th carousel? A lot of it doesn't make sense. They've said that Anna was a girl who lived in Pass Christian, but I don't believe this was her house. It was not Evan's house. But what do you guys think about this? Let me know in the comments. We are getting closer, I believe. And the more we pass this stuff around, the more I think we'll find justice for Nolan. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Secret Service.
All right, shout out to Secret Service Sam. He's steady on the case. Okay, he is steady on the case. Now, with that all being said, I'm going to go to this next video that Sam posted. I have to call Sam today because me and him have to really have a talk about this one, okay, about this testimony, supposedly. So I'm going to share my screen. And here's the thing. Now, he says that, hold on, before I share Sam's next video, hold on. Let me say this. The guy wants to say that darn it, I deleted those photos from the pool. But I was just going to show you all again that the one guy, the one that looks older, like he shouldn't even be around those young people, well, he had the USA, you know, sketched in his chest hairs, right? Okay. And so that's something that you would normally do, in my opinion, for the 4th of July. Right? Putting USA. So now I don't know when the picture was exactly taken. None of us do. We've had several people saying that it's June the 27th. If you remember when I read to you the Rolling Stone article where they talked about what Tracestin Shepherd said, he said that it was on June the 27th. But mind you, he wasn't there. He got that on secondhand information, which makes it hearsay, but which also leads me to think that he was sent to paint narratives and muddy the waters, just like Jayvon. And sadly for these two, you see, these two really are trying to protect those people, but at the end of the day, they're going to be left holding the bag, honey, because these people are trying to blame them. And if you don't believe me, just watch, because I told you all this days ago. But here's the proof right here. Sam has it. likes up, everyone. Please like and share. Thank you in advance. And also, let me just remind everyone, do not use any racially charged descriptions or wording or any of that in the chat. I will delete your comments. If you do it again, you'll be put in a timeout, and after that, it'll be even worse. Okay, so please, you may have your emotions overcharged or whatever, but do not put any racially insensitive or racial slurs or anything like that, calling people names based on race or any of those things. That goes for everyone. Don't do that in my chat. Thank you, and let's continue.
Sam here with a Nolan Xavier Wells update. This is something a little bit shocking. Somebody just reached out to me on Facebook. He's verified that he has been talking with the investigators, as you can see in this screenshot. And I'll just read you our conversation. I was on Horn Island on the 4th. I have information I will share with you, but for obvious reasons would like to keep certain parts a secret, as they would absolutely damage the investigation. Let me know if you want. I've had several conversations with investigators. I can be seen in the video in question regarding an altercation. I said, oh, sure. Were you really there? I was there during the video in question. I can be seen on the far right walking away. Okay, great. What would you like to say? I will not use your name or anything. Then he sent me these screenshots of the phone calls. I said, I believe you. What would you like to share with me? Thanks. I've been working with investigators. I walked through right after a real fight broke out. I didn't see Nolan or the friends he rode there with around, but I have reason to believe Nolan was part of that fight. What do you think happened to Nolan? Why do you think he was part of the fight? Doesn't matter what I think, only the evidence and where it might lead. I didn't see Nolan's friends he rode with, but the friends who he was supposed to be catching a ride home with appear to be lying based on what I saw and what they're saying. The investigators had been following up with me for new details as new evidence emerges. Between you and me, they believe to have identified the suspect if what I witnessed was connected. So I know they're working hard to get to the bottom of it. Wow, can you say what you witnessed? I can't. They would use it to build their story and taint the investigation. And I told him, I really appreciate you sharing this information with me. And he said, I wouldn't have told you if I didn't feel like your heart was in the right place. Then he says, you're welcome. Yes, I'm trying to get transcripts of Jayvon and Tracestin's interviews to show you contradictions and errors. Will follow up. Yes, don't go so far into detail, but let people know that they're working on it, that if the information got out, it would taint the investigation, and start focusing your investigation towards his ride home, since it...
Now let me stop right there, darn it. Let me stop right there. Now, I know a thing or two about when someone's trying to point the finger of blame and shame at someone else. Let's talk about it. Now, the first thing that I noticed was he said that I didn't see Nolan or his friends that he came with, but I do believe Nolan was involved in the fight. Now, why would you believe that Nolan was involved in the fight if you didn't see him, neither his friends that he rode with? Here's why. Here is why. I'm going to tell you. The reason he would say that is because Tristan already admitted to Rolling Stone that, in fact, he was involved in the fight. So now that makes it look like Nolan and Tracestin. I'm sorry, I think I called him Tristan, but Tracestin. Now that makes it look like Nolan and Tracestin had a beef or were the ones fighting. But then he goes on to say, start focusing your direction on his ride home. Trying to tell that man where to point his direction, his investigation. And another thing he said, even before that, he said Nolan and his ride home. He said something about Nolan and his ride home, but he speculated, or he stated that the ride home was Jayvon and Tracestin. Now, why would he think that that was the ride home? Because first of all, didn't they say he stayed with a girl and that he was supposed to catch a ride? They didn't say anything about Tracestin and Jayvon. I want you to pay attention to how now they're trying to act as though his ride home was Tracestin and Jayvon. Okay? I told you all, these two Black people came out there. They were the first ones to talk about it. The three white guys have not said a word to the media. And also, they have taking away some of the culpability from the 3 white boys, because Tracestin said that, oh, the picture was taken June the 27th, but that's hearsay. He doesn't know that for a fact. You can also check the metadata. That's what Rolling Stone said. They said they had the metadata or something like that. But here's the thing, depending on what kind of iPhone you have, you can actually change the metadata. Did you all know that? Did you all know that? Depending on, specifically if you have one of those iPhone 16s, you can absolutely change the metadata, but you have to have the original picture. Okay, you can absolutely change it. But here's the thing. I don't believe Rolling Stone actually had all of that. I think that Rolling Stone, being conservative, we're just painting narratives. That's my opinion. Now, another thing is him sitting there telling Sam where to focus his attention. Okay, but let's let him finish.
At least one of his friends admitted he stayed behind and was now with his other friends. Jayvon and Tracestin, it only makes sense to follow an alternative investigatory route, which assumes his ride to Horn is telling the truth. He also made sure to let me know that the investigators are handling this like pros, and that is very reassuring. What do you guys think about this? This potentially is a huge break in this case, and it's good to hear that the investigators are doing their job, and it seems like they might have an idea of a suspect. Secret
I gotta talk to Sam, honey, because Sam is falling for the BS. Okay, Sam's falling for the BS. No, the investigation is not going like it should. They would have done all the things that they're now trying to scramble to do previously. But once Ben Crump got on the case, that's when they started trying to pretend that they're working in the best interest of Nolan's family. Okay, please pay attention. All right, and now they're saying, did you all catch that? Also, he told Sam that there was another friend who stayed behind. When have we ever heard that before now? When have we ever heard that before now? And supposedly that friend says that Nolan's ride was Tracestin and Jayvon. Tracestin and Jayvon supposedly left Horn Island before Nolan's other friends even did. Okay, that's what Jayvon said earlier. So now it's very interesting. I just told you all to pay attention. Okay, I told you all to pay attention. See, this is why you cannot trust people like that. Okay, this is why you cannot trust people like that. See, what Jayvon should have done is minded his own black business when all of this went down. He should have minded his own business. He should not have been talking to them, especially after he found out that they had his best friend's phone, car keys and wallet, and hadn't bothered to return those to his parents. Okay, so Jayvon has just put himself in the line of fire. Tracestin has done the same, because now they're going to have all roads pointing to them. And even if they don't fully get blamed for it, let me tell you this is enough to cause a reasonable doubt if and when the little devils are arrested. Okay, if they get arrested and they have to go to trial or anything like that, well, this is reasonable doubt right here, because now they can say, oh, well, so-and-so said they stayed behind, and that they were Nolan was supposed to ride with Trayvon and Tracestin. Now, Trayvon and Tracestin can get up there on the stand and deny that if they want to, but that's not going to matter to the jury, because that'll be enough to cause reasonable doubt, potentially. Okay, depending on how the jurors view that. See, what they're doing is they're muddying the waters. Okay, they're muddying the waters, and I told you all this. I know how this goes. I know all about interrogation and all of that. Let's not forget, I went to college for criminal justice. Okay, so this is what is going on. Now, with that all being said, let's continue, because I'm going to go to this video where this young lady talks about the autopsy, and she basically says the same thing that I said, because we already know what time it is. I already told you all they don't want to release their autopsy until Crump releases his. Honey, but Crump isn't stupid.
Sheriff's Office doesn't want to release their autopsy reports. They want to get the autopsy results from the independent autopsy before they release theirs. The reason being because if they release their autopsy reports and it comes back as something different than what the independent autopsy report says, it's going to blow a whole lot of shit up in that sheriff's office, and a lot of their cases are going to be questioned. But attorney Ben Crump and Nolan's family don't want to release their autopsy reports first, because they know that the sheriff's office can change their report. It's a waiting game, because from Nolan's parents' side, they want to catch the corruption in the Justice Department. But the department's main focus is making sure that there's no scandal. Y'all really are thinking, everyone's like, where's the autopsy reports? Where's the autopsy reports? They were supposed to be out by Friday. Well, no shit. Why would I release my autopsy reports for you to go turn around and see that you have the same results? But you started your autopsy first. So where are your reports? Yeah, okay. Y'all really gotta think about this. This case is twisted. And Nolan's parents are doing the right thing by their child. They literally got an independent autopsy. They're not giving his phone to Mississippi law enforcement because they know how they can do things. This corruption in the justice system really needs to stop. Justice for Nolan Xavier Wells.
All right, I want you all to pay attention. Now, with that all being said, TMZ happened to see Representative Jasmine Crockett, and so they asked her what her thoughts were about the Nolan Wells case. I'm going to use an overlay for this because y'all know how TMZ is.
I wanted to get your thoughts on the Nolan Wells investigation. Some people feel like it's racially motivated. What do you think?
I mean, I think that specifically as Black Americans in the United States right now, we are always going to question whether or not there is a racial motivation, but also if you know the history of Mississippi, I think that you'd have to be blind not to question potentially what is happening, especially in the case of an 18-year-old who ends up deceased without his cell phone, without any communication whatsoever with anybody prior to ending up deceased, and he was out with his Caucasian friends, and then law enforcement tells everybody there's no foul play to be suspected. Now, a blind man could see that there's something to investigate. And so I want to applaud the legal team, Ben Crump and his team, as well as his parents, for not giving up and accepting no as an answer.
Well, it sounds like you think it is racially motivated.
I absolutely think that I can tell you that we don't have any answers. But if you think that race is not something to look at, then you are not really trying to investigate.
So what do you think?
Well, I mean, you know me. I'm a civil rights lawyer. I mean, I'm looking at it. I'm looking at the fact that these white kids deleted their social media accounts. It's not like they sat down and talked to law enforcement. It's not even like law enforcement decided that they wanted to sit down and talk to them. They decided, oh, the little Black boy ended up dead without his cell phone, without his friends, going and telling his parents, oh, yeah, we got the cell phone. They got to go and track down the phone and find the phone. It looks like a racial thing to me. But, hey, maybe we'll find out that it wasn't.
Well, what's interesting is we had his football coach on our TV show today, and he said that there was never any racial tension between any of the students or anything like that. So, I mean, that kind of points that maybe this wasn't racially motivated.
I mean, I can't say what even the cause of death really is. We know that there's an independent autopsy that's going on. But I can tell you that race is absolutely playing a role. What role? Whether it had to do with his death, whether it had to do with the fact that maybe your friends left you to die, or your friends didn't care that maybe you did die. I do believe that there's a racial component, or if it's just in law enforcement, not feeling as if Nolan Wells was worthy of an actual investigation, but instead decided that there was no foul play, seemingly with no evidence, without talking to any witnesses. That to me is where there are racial components to this for sure. But I will not say that I know for sure that race played a role in his death.
Are you in the camp of if Nolan was white and his friends were...
Yeah. Okay. The friends, listen, they would have absolutely been under the jail with no questions asked first.
Really?
But for sure.
Congresswoman, I wanted to get your thoughts on the Nolan Wells investigation. Some people feel like it's racial.
Okay, now of course it's racially motivated. I mean, listen, we don't necessarily know if what happened to Nolan is racially motivated, but at the very least, like she said, we do know that the way this investigation has been handled is all racially motivated, in my opinion. Okay, and I believe that his death is too. Now, with that all being said, Greta says Queen has been correct every step of the way. She reported every move before it hit mainstream news. I'm beginning to believe Queen is psychic. Thank you for that, beloved. But beloved, I absolutely am psychic. How do you think I predict all this stuff? Okay, I have prophetic dreams. That's how I told you all in 2020 about the attempted assassinations on Trump. Okay, 2 of them. I dripped it twice. Okay, and a myriad of other things. I do my January 1st predictions very often. I told you all about that huge earthquake that was going to happen in Asia, and then it did. I mean, I'm just saying, beloved. Yes, the queen is psychic. I don't really use that word. I use prophetic. Okay, now with that being said, let's talk about it because the medical examiner has had a multiple of nefarious allegations, okay? And I was rushing this morning, so I didn't get a chance. I didn't get a chance to gather the receipts on this, but guess what? Willie D did. So shout out to Willie D. I'm going to borrow his receipts, and hopefully he won't mind. All right, and I'll use an overlay.
Dr. Tracy Turner. Tracy has faced significant public scrutiny for mislabeling causes of death in high-profile cases, specifically those involving Black people. Tracy, it appears, has never met a case where a Black person was killed or died and she thought it was a homicide. Every time, well, it seems to be every time that Tracy finds a Black person on the slab in her office, that somehow, some way, it was an accident or a suicide, never a homicide, especially in regards to the police. That is what I'm really getting at here. Police and suspicious deaths involving white people. When the suspect is white, or the person suspected of doing something is white. Yeah. I wonder why. What's the story behind all of this? You need some proof? Okay. I present to you Exhibit A. This, as you know, is Nolan Wells. Stacy is the chief medical examiner overseeing Nolan's autopsy. Yeah, and there ain't a lot of people who is confident in her ability to be truthful. Yeah. In fact, Stacy immediately ruled Nolan's death a drowning. The family didn't buy it. They were like, no, that was too quick, way too quick. How do you know it was a drowning? Did you even conduct a thorough autopsy? Has there been a thorough investigation? The family is not buying it. But then you have Trey Reed. Trey Reed, remember, was the Delta University student, the Delta State University student, who allegedly hung himself under suspicious circumstances. They get the body and they find the body all bruised up and everything. But Stacy ruled his death a suicide. Immediately ruled it a suicide also. Stacy just didn't see any evidence of foul play, although Trey Reed's body was bruised and battered. And then you have Damian Cameron. Oh, man. So once again, Stacy just couldn't find it in her heart to give the family the justice they were looking for, or the answers that they were looking for. So let me bring you up to speed on Damian's death. Damian was a 29-year-old Black man. He died after a violent encounter with Rankin County Sheriff's deputies. Witnesses and his family stated that the deputies knelt on his back and neck for over 10 minutes. An autopsy showed signs of internal neck bleeding, a swollen face, and severe trauma. This happened in 2021. So, what's the problem? Dr. Turner ruled the cause and manner of death as undetermined, citing a lack of access to information. But the backlash came because the media investigations by New York Times and Mississippi Today revealed that 3 national independent pathologists reviewed the case and concluded the death should have been ruled a homicide. Her undetermined ruling effectively stalled criminal investigations into the deputies at the state level, though a civil suit was revived by an appeals court. And then you have this youngster right here. Shannon Wilson's case is cold-blooded. This is the 13-year-old who, according to claims from the family, Dr. Turner's office embalmed their loved one without permission, destroying any evidence that could have proven their case.
People who have a lot of credit card debt can be thankful for this. There's something called financial.
From Shannon's family. I hadn't seen anything like that on those books. I know they got them out there, but I hadn't seen it before. Beautiful. RIP to all.
Okay, I'm going to stop right there. So apparently Willie D was showing just different pics of the young man before he lost his life. May they all rest in peace. And, that's real shady because in one case, like they said, she went ahead and embalmed the body without the family's consent, ruining any chance of them being able to prove their case. Honey, I would have sued them. Okay, they would have gotten sued. All right. And here's the thing. The coroners down there in Mississippi only need a high school diploma. They don't even need a degree. Now, the medical examiner, however, needs to have an MD or an MO. Okay? Now, with that all being said, let's go to the footage of Nolan's coach because he did an interview with TMZ. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to use an overlay on this.
That's it.
Continues. A lot of the people in Nolan's life, of course, still grieving his loss. One of them is joining us now, someone who was close with Nolan because he coached him in high school football. Tracy Lampley, welcome to TMZ Live.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Be right back.
Live, the mystery surrounding Nolan Wells' death continues because his family has not gotten the answers that they are demanding, that they deserve, quite frankly. And the autopsy results are not back yet. So they are still just looking for any answers. And the sheriff has come out and said that he would love for anyone who was on Horn Island that day to come forward on July 4th and to let them know what they saw. The problem they have is that Horn Island is there's nothing there. There are no buildings. It's a sandbar, basically. And there are no cameras. There's nothing there that would record anything that happened. So the authorities need people to come forward and tell them what they saw. A lot of the people in Nolan's life, of course, still grieving his loss. And some of them very much involved in the search and in the support of his family after this tragic death. So one of them is joining us now, someone who was close with Nolan because he coached him in high school football. Tracy Lampley, welcome to TMZ Live.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
We appreciate it. Appreciate you being here.
So Tracy, my understanding is you were close to the family and you actually, helped in the search for Nolan before his body was found. Can you give us a sense of what his parents think happened here. Do they believe this was just an unfortunate accident, tragedy, or that it's something more sinister?
Well, just to correct you a little bit, I didn't actually help for the search, but I was in Ocean Springs when it happened, and I was still in disbelief when I got the news that Nolan was missing. So when I got all the details surrounding the case, that they told me he was out at Horn Island, and he came up missing or whatnot. I talked with his dad, and we just had conversation. That was kind of after the fact when they had found his body, because I was just giving the family their respect that they deserve, and when everything first took place. But I was sharing all the detail that the family was sharing, just putting the word out there, and just so everybody could be on notice and everybody be paying attention to what the parents was asking of the community. But I gave the family their space. But then when they found their body, I pulled up to the house and just paid my respect. And me and the dad had conversations, and we talked, and man, it's just devastating.
When you say you talked to the dad, did he kind of accept this as an accident and a tragedy, or was he more suspicious?
He was more so just.
Let me just say this really quickly. I don't like Harvey's line of questioning. Why is he asking him what the dad thinks? Okay, that's hearsay. All right, that's hearsay. He should be talking to the dad if that's the case.
Searching for answers right now because it had just happened, and there was a lot of questions still unanswered. You know what I mean? And like the family just want to answer, want to know what happened and what was going on, because the questions that they've been asking have not, truly been answered. And so we all now just sitting back and waiting on the autopsy to come back, and waiting on the family to give more details about, what they have received moving forward.
Tracy, can you tell us, just talk to us about Nolan? Obviously, you as he's a high school football star, and usually high school football stars have a pretty close relationship with their coaches. What can you tell us about just Nolan as a human being, and what you saw from him and how he interacted with other people in school with his friends?
Yes, Nolan was a great young man, with a big personality. Everybody gravitated to Nolan because of his smile. He just wanted everybody to be happy, and he was a joy to coach, a joy to be around. To sum Nolan up, long story short, Nolan is a guy that I would let date my daughter. That's the kind of character he had, and that's the kind of person that his family raised.
So, getting to the last time he was seen on the island, I think just your point of view on his personality is interesting. I mean, there were rumblings that he may have gotten into an argument, that there might have been a confrontation or something like that. I mean, was he a guy who would stand up, where, his hackles would go up, or was he more of a get along type guy?
He's more of a get along type guy. Don't get me wrong. Now, if something happened, he'll defend himself. But I knew right then in that video that wasn't Nolan. But out of respect, the person that I knew who it was, I waited until he spoke about it. And then, I told people, oh, yes, that's who that was in the video, was another person, another kid that I, taught at Ocean Springs. And I knew exactly that wasn't Nolan during that time.
So, there's been some talk about, one of the theories is that that he was drinking and that there was a riptide that day, and that maybe he got caught in a bad current out there. Knowing him as an athlete, and we've heard that he did know how to swim, would that surprise you if he ended up in that situation, just from what you know about him as an athlete?
Yes, I mean, it would surprise me, that happened, but like I said, man, I'm just waiting till the family, give out, details of what they done gathered, since, his body being recovered. I don't want to, put no information out there and speculate and add more fuel to the fire. So I'm just really sitting back, waiting on the family to give, the public, more facts about the case, because as sensitive as the case is, I don't want to start no rumors or have nobody saying that coach said this and that ain't true. So
I love the way he's answering these questions. Harvey needs to sit down somewhere. Okay, this man is smart. He knows exactly what you're trying to do, and he's answering the questions accordingly. And let me just say this. Why is Harvey reaching out to all these black people? Okay, what's his thing here? I would not have even come on here. Why is he reaching out to them?
So now I'm just sitting back, waiting on the family to give the public, details about it. And I think in due time that information would come out.
And finally, look, there's a reality to life these days. Was there racial tension at the school? I mean, you were certainly able to observe, and it's something people are talking about. Whether it's a factor at all or not. Was there racial tension at the school?
No, I don't think it was no racial intention at the school. From my experience, because you have predominant white school, you have black kids there, and they all played and grew up together and got along. Now some stuff might have happened that I didn't see, so I can't speak wholeheartedly on it. But from what I did see, it was a tight knit community. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay.
Well, Tracy, we really appreciate you sharing what you know about Nolan and the kind of young man he was. We thank you for being with us.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Harvey needs to cut out the BS, because here's the thing. He's sitting there asking that man if he thinks it's racially motivated. First of all, that man has to live and work there. Okay? He has to live and work there. So I would have answered it just like he did, because we all can see that it's racially motivated. At least the law enforcement part of it is. So yeah, I would have answered it the same way. Okay, now what I want to say is this. Tanya G said, Queen, I remember you and Lisa reported on a choir and they sang a song, They're Coming for Your Children. Could this be one of many things that they're talking about? Beloved, I really can't say, but there's no telling. I don't put anything past Minions. Okay, but what I want to know is, what do you all have going on in my chat? Could you all please be respectful to one another in the chat? We don't need back and forths. If someone posts a comment that you disagree with, please just keep that to yourself. If I see people arguing and bickering and creating distractions in the chat, I will put you in the timeout. Okay, and then if I have to say something to the same people again, it's not going to be good. Okay, so please refrain. You're supposed to be focusing on the commentary. Why are you all bickering and cursing each other out in my chat? Okay, that's not what we're here for, and I'm just not going to have it. Okay, this is childish. Okay, now if you can't deal with other people's opinions, that's your problem. But let's not be doing all of that, because I don't have time for it. Now let's continue. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Now, this video, this young lady talks about the fact that they had to use the dental records to determine who Nolan was, whether or not that was him. And then after this, we're going to go to the interview that was done with Jayvon and his mother, Tashema. And everybody doesn't have this video, so you likely heard it here first. Okay, please pay attention.
Records to identify Nolan Wells. We all know what the fuck this is. 71 years ago, Emmett Till died. That'll be in August, late August. I think August 28th or 29th is when the lynching of Emmett Till happened in 1955. Here we are again, and we never left. I personally think about Emmett Till a lot because we share the same birthday. And here it is still. It appears from the news clips I've seen that the local PD is obviously not doing shit. And it is, in my opinion, that this might have been a KKK initiation, or it was just jealousy because, Nolan had it going for him. And I have a pit in my stomach that this might have been also because a white girl talked to him earlier, which obviously echoes of Emmett Till. Except Emmett didn't even fucking, do shit. Obviously, neither did Nolan. The parents, they all need to be charged. The way the PD is acting also makes me like think this is a KKK thing because this is in Mississippi. And I believe, or I remember hearing that someone's fucking parental guardian or whatever the fuck was on the fucking boat. So that makes me think we're all protecting each other in our fucking domestic terrorist organization with how the news clips of the police department that I've seen. And if you're a white person, you need to be anti-racist. If you see your white sons, well, actually not even if you see them, you just need to fucking drill it into them how to fucking not be so monstrous. And
Okay, I'm going to stop this young lady right there. I didn't watch her entire video, but clearly she likes to drop the F-bombs quite a lot. Okay. With that all being said, someone just asked me in the chat, did I see Ben Crump and Nolan's family meeting with the DA? We're going to talk about that. Okay, because that's what I was looking for. I saw Don Lemon was reported on it. So thank you for asking that, beloved. Now, with that being said, let's go to this interview with Jayvon and his mom. All right, lights up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance. I'm going to cue this really quick.
With the capability to handle what life throws your way. That's the GMC Sierra, leading where it matters most. GMC Sierra, it's the truck. Celebrate Independence Day with employee pricing for everyone on all GMC Sierra 1500 models. With 0% APR, that's over $13,000 total value on this Sierra 1500 Denali.
Miss Christine, how are you and your family holding up?
A lot of praying, a lot of just leaning on each other in this moment and just taking it day by day. That's really all we can do right now. It's been hard. You know, every day is different. And really, every second is different, which is something people need to understand. Grief is not one emotion, right? It's multiple emotions and they're all happening at the same time. And so it's just like 1 minute I can be I can be okay like this and I can talk about it. And then the next minute I'm breaking down in tears because it's a constant reminder. Because if I'm being honest, we really just have not had time to fully grieve with everything that's going on.
This is your baby, and everyone must understand that. And just day by day, have you been hearing anything from investigators?
No, the last time I spoke with an investigator, it was Major Smith, and I had reached out to him via text message. That was last Tuesday. Other than that, I have not spoken with anyone,
That is
and no one has
agonizing.
reached out.
That is shocking, first of all, but also agonizing to think that has been that much time having passed. I mean, Jayvon, I want to come to you because, I mean, you're his friend. You were on the island on the 4th. You were on a different boat. Do you recall seeing him at all that day?
Yes, ma'am. I did see him when I was out there on the island.
Can you tell me what you saw? Does anything seem strange to you about the difference that people are saying of how he was separated from the group?
No, ma'am. I don't think that Nolan would say, hey, bro, I'm staying with this girl on the island. Y'all go ahead and go back without even bringing it, like not even asking to get his phone back. You know what I mean? I don't think that any of that.
What makes you so sure about that? Because I mean, obviously you've been with him, you've spent a lot of time with him. Did you know him to be someone to leave his phone or even say, you guys go without me?
Never. I've never known Nolan to stay back while his friends leave. He's always been a guy where if he rode with you, he's going to come back with you. That's all.
Now, I want you all to pay attention to Jayvon's demeanor. His demeanor is very different than it was when he was on TMZ. Okay, now maybe that's because his mother is sitting there with him, or maybe because now he realizes the seriousness of it all and knows that they may try to blame him and Tracestin. But let's continue.
Always how he's been every single time.
You know, this friend of his, Tracestin, also told ABC that that video people have been talking about that was said to show some sort of altercation, it did not involve Nolan. He says it was actually him yelling in the video and that you and a family member were holding him back because he'd been in a fight. Is that accurate?
Yes, ma'am. We were calming Tracestin down. In that video where he said, "Give me my effing phone back," it sounds like him. So I'm pretty sure that he was right on that. But
Jayvon, I'm so sorry to think about what you must be going through and thinking about what's happened to Nolan. I mean, you mentioned the phone. Tashema, a huge question so many people have is why he would have left his cell phone behind. And you say you were the person who actually went and retrieved that phone for the family. How'd you get your hands on the phone? Where was it?
That is correct. Christine called me and told me, "Hey, where are the boys? Nolan hasn't been heard from since such and such time. Where are your boys?" I said, "Well, Jayvon is with his girlfriend, and I just spoke with Jalen, and they are headed to downtown," which I was literally getting ready to get in the shower to go downtown as well. She said, "Well, Nolan hasn't been." So I instantly called with Christine on the phone, Jayvon. Jayvon said no, he hadn't seen Nolan since early on the island. And he was like, "What? Are y'all serious?" He was like, "Yes." And so Christine intervened in the conversation, said, "Nolan has not been heard from since he left the island." So Jayvon was like, "Well, that's when I seen it. I haven't seen it since then." Again, everybody goes their separate ways. So I then hang up from Jayvon because obviously there's nothing he can say to tell me anything. So then Jalen, I call him. Jalen did not answer the phone. Christine again is on the phone. Jalen did not answer the phone. LeBaron, I called, after he didn't answer the phone, I called LeBaron, which is their other friend, LeBaron Broomfield. He answered. He said, "Jalen is in the gas station. Hold on." So he said, "Hey, Jalen, Mom on the phone." So he was like, Jalen, like, "What's up, Mom? What's going on?" I was like, "Hey, have y'all heard from Nolan?" They said, "No, we have not heard from Nolan."
But where was the phone?
So I was like, "Well, okay." So that's when we started tracking the phone. Well, for Christine, it said one place, but for them on Snapchat, it showed another place. So that's the place we went to. And it showed that everybody that was in the house, it was like a lot of people there. Like I'm not familiar with all the kids. I only know like one or two there, but it showed that the phone was at what a lot of people were at. So that's how we knew where to go to. We went there. They were all there. They were sitting there, lights off, watching TV.
Did they immediately give you the phone? Because knowing that phone was there.
It took about 15. They did. They gave me the phone, but it took about 15 minutes to get the phone because I even asked, I'm like, "Did y'all have to walk back to Horn Island to get the phone? Or like, where's the phone?" Because it took so long when they said it was when Wyatt told me it was in his truck. It took him so long to get the phone back to me.
Christine,
So when they brought the phone back.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Tashema. I want to hear that.
When they brought the phone, after I said something about it, he was like, "Well, she's going to get it." I was like, "Who's going to get it?" He's like, "The girl's going to get the phone."
I want to talk about your community, but first I want your reaction.
Okay, so it stops right there. But hold on. I'm going to go to the transcripts. Because there's just a little bit more conversation. Okay. And I have the transcripts for that. Okay, so she says, "I want to hear that." She says, "When they brought the phone, after I said something about it, he was like, 'Well, she's going to get it.' I was like, 'Who's going to get it?' He's like, 'The girl is going to get the phone.' So I'm assuming, I don't want to say the wrong name because I don't know these kids' names." And then the interviewer says, "Sure." Okay. And I know how I feel about my child. But one of the girls at the house, I'm pretty sure her name was Katie. Her name was Katie Diaz or something like that. Okay, so let's stop right there because they did say, or I heard at least, that there was a girl named Katie who supposedly went to get the phone. And people were saying that it was Katie, the same Katie that Nolan spoke to on Horn Island. Okay, because I was like, how would they know her? Because I thought Nolan just met her. That's not the same Katie, clearly, because her name is Katie McCormick. She says she believes this young lady's last name is Diaz. Okay, so says she brought the phone. Now, then she asks, the interviewer says, Christine, when you're hearing this, I mean, and the phone and the 15-minute window, again, I know you just said, Tashema, you're not sure of all the names that are involved here, but just hearing about looking for this phone, did you have concerns about the phone when you got it back? She says, absolutely. Okay, that's what his mother says, Nolan's mom, because it says Onsley. She said, absolutely. Okay, then the host says, what were those concerns? To which Nolan's mother says, just because when my sister and I went through the phone, it was just too clean. And I'm sure Jayvon can attest to this. Nolan was always taking pictures, always making videos. So I would expect something in the Snapchat, right? But both accounts were empty. There was no saved video. There was nothing there. The host says, from the whole day, she says, and I just find that very hard to believe from the whole day. And so that's why I was kind of like, wait, this doesn't feel right. This is really starting not to feel right, especially once we got that phone and kind of started going through it. And like I said, I just don't see that. Like, I know my child, right? No parent is perfect. We don't know everything 100% about our kids, but I know more. I know my child well, especially with the way he moves and the things he does. And if he has a phone out all the time at home, he's definitely going to have a phone out whenever he's out. And doing things with friends. So that was just really hard to believe that there was nothing there. And then Ben Crump says, or she asked Ben Crump, she says, Ben Crump, I mean, listening to this, where does the investigation stand? The question, what happened to Nolan, is still there. And then Ben Crump answers saying, yes, it is, Laura Coates. Me and my legal team and our team of investigators, we're filling so many phone calls, and we are thankful because people are calling our call center and talking to our investigators. I know we're trying to dot every I and cross every T. And there is so much coming out. I mean, things that happened the night before, the things that happened that day, we're finding out. And it's really concerning, some of the things that they're telling us. And we understand that there were multiple videos of altercations that they're telling us about, Laura. So it's going to come out one way or another. We will get the truth. Let me tell y'all something. So this means, from listening to what Ben Crump just said about multiple videos of an altercation, Truth Brown, you already know where I'm going with it. Because me and you have talked since, hey, Queen, and the fact that the phone was in Warren's truck is real suspect. Yes, it is. The phone was in Warren's truck. That was also, not Warren, Wyatt. It was in Wyatt's truck, beloved, not Warren. But the fact that it was in Wyatt's truck is interesting because that was also Wyatt's boat that they were on. But with that all being said, now, Truth Brown, you know what I'm talking about. I noticed that Benjamin Crump says, we understand there were multiple videos of altercations that they're telling us about, Laura. So it's going to come out one way or another. We will get to the truth. Now, Truth Brown, me and you both know something has been said from people in Mississippi about multiple videos. Now, I hope what we know is not true, because it's nefarious. Okay, and we're not going to tell you right now. Like I told you all, I'm waiting for the autopsy before I drop this bombshell. Okay, now depending on the autopsy, it may not be a bombshell, but if the autopsy comes back with something suspicious, anything other than an accidental drowning, I'm gonna have to drop it. Now, then the host says, Miss Christine, I want nothing more than the truth of you for you. And I'm just so sorry for the loss. I mean, Tashema, Christine, we're all mothers here. And Jayvon, I'm just so sorry that your friend has lost his life in this way. I don't know what happened, but we will stay with you all. Thank you. Okay. And so with that all being said, they went to a commercial break and moved on. All right. This is all getting really, really interesting because there's so many twists and turns. See, that's because lies are being told and people are saying things to muddy the waters. That's exactly what's going on here. So, and also, let me just tell you all, I'm going to be back later. I'm going to be back later to talk about Carmelo Anthony and the updates on. Hold on. I have an update on Carmelo Anthony's case. We're going to talk about that later. But also, we're going to talk about Daniel Irvin because Ben Crump is taking on his case too. If you don't remember who Daniel Irvin is, that's the young man who also drowned in the lake when he was with two of his white friends, and one of them has been arrested. Okay, now I'm trying to see where this the family meeting with Ben Crump and the family meeting with the DA, where that's at. I see Don Lemon talking about it, but let me see something here. Did they have a press conference or something? I'm curious. Okay, so for the time being, hold on. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna share Don Lemon's video while I look for that, okay? Because we got to get all the tea. We got to get all the receipts. That's what we got to do. So Don Lemon is talking about it, so I'm gonna play his video, and then while I'm looking for that information, okay, everyone, please don't forget to like and share. Thank you in advance.
Photograph machine. It's a video machine. It's a go live machine. By the next morning, it has been clipped, captioned.
Hold on.
She is operating off of an old playbook, is on what silence costs in the media environment that we're actually in right now. We're in a whole different type of media environment that I don't think people understand. Now, I want to talk to you about the cost of that, because I think that's really important. In a media environment that we're actually in, that they don't really get it right now. And I want to spend some real time this morning explaining exactly what I mean, because I think it matters for this case, and I think it matters for every case that comes after this. Ongoing case, everything. Again, like, thumbs up, okay? So here's the old model. You've got three networks, right? ABC, CBS, NBC, right? And you have a couple of national newspapers, and then you have mostly local papers. But those don't come out in real time, right? The information is presented later, and you get the afternoon edition, the morning edition. There aren't even afternoon editions anymore. So you got a couple cable outlets, you got a newspaper, maybe two in every city. If a sheriff's department stayed quiet for a week while they worked the case, the public just waited, because that's how it was. There was nowhere else for the story to go. There was no competing version of events. No competing version of events was going to outrun the official one. You just had to wait, because there was no infrastructure for a competing version to travel on. Do you understand what I'm saying? I'll say that again. There was nowhere else for the story to go. There was no competing version of events that was going to outrun the official one, because there was no infrastructure for a competing version to travel on, meaning there was no internet, there was no social media, there was no iPhones or cell phones, none of that. Silence was safe then. Silence was actually the responsible choice half the time, because the alternative was putting out information before it was even innuendo. Now, let me talk about who is getting access, okay? Because you guys know, pow, straight up shooter here, okay? Let me talk about who's getting access, because I want to say this carefully and I want it to be direct. I want to say it directly. And this isn't about, oh, the Don Lemon show is about my ego. This is not about that. I'm not an ego-driven person, and I'm not offended.
I'm sorry, I forgot I was muted. So here's the thing. It looks like it hasn't happened yet because on his screen it says breaking press conference pending in Nolan Wells case. Okay, so they're supposedly going to have a press conference and it must not have started as of yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to find out what time it starts. If it's starting in a minute, then we can stay on here. But in the meantime, let's go to this article from People that came out yesterday where they say the Mississippi DA plans to meet with Nolan Wells' parents as investigation continues. Because it looks to me like Don Lemon is just making chit chat as he's waiting for the press conference, more likely than not. Okay, so the parents of Mississippi teen Nolan Wells are reportedly expected to meet with the district attorney this week as authorities continue investigating the 18-year-old's death a day after his mother said she had gone a week without hearing from investigators. Okay, that's what she just said on the interview that we listened to. Now, Jackson County District Attorney Angel Myers-Malroth told NBC News that she plans to meet with Nolan's parents on Wednesday, July the 15th, while continuing to work alongside the Jackson County Sheriff's Department, okay, which is leading the investigation. McElrath says, also told ABC News, she plans to meet with Nolan's parents on Wednesday, saying we're able to share with victims a little bit more than we can share with outsiders. They'd probably get to know a little bit more if there is more to know, but it's very limited again and what we can say. Now, McElrath also cautioned against drawing conclusions from the scheduled meeting, telling NBC News that authorities continue to examine the circumstances surrounding Nolan's death and have not indicated that the case is being treated as a criminal investigation. She says, we don't want to rush to judgment or speculate. Okay, I can tell you that this is a priority for everyone involved. And so we're working very hard to understand what happened. Now, officials are still waiting for toxicology testing before Nolan's autopsy report can be finalized. McElrath also told NBC that information from the investigation, including the autopsy findings, will remain confidential until it has been presented to a grand jury. Until the grand jury hears everything, those kinds of things can't be released. Honey, they are stalling. That's what they're doing. Now they're trying to act as though they can't release the autopsy report results until they speak to a grand jury. But hold on. If there was no evidence of foul play, please pay attention. If there was no evidence of foul play and you believe Sheriff Ledbetter that it was an accidental drowning, what does a grand jury have to do with this? Okay, I find that very interesting. I find that very interesting. Why would they need to present anything to a grand jury? Until the grand jury hears everything, those kinds of things can't be released. That's to protect the integrity of the investigation. Now, as public interest in the case continues to grow, McElrath acknowledged that the attention has created additional challenges, but said it has not changed how investigators are approaching their work. But as far as how we investigate, how we support the investigators, and how the investigators do their job, there's no outside influence that influences that. They're going to do their job. They're going to do it very well. This sounds like a bunch of word salad. The update follows comments from Nolan's mother, Christine Wells Wansley, who told CNN on Monday, July 13th, that she had not heard from investigators since July the 7th. That must have really pressed them when she said that on that interview, because they are clearly, okay, keep mentioning it. Nolan disappeared on July the 4th. Okay, I'm skip past that. Authorities have said friends who were with Nolan told investigators that he chose to remain on the island. Okay, we already know all of this. Nolan's mother has also previously questioned what happened to her son's cell phone, telling Good Morning America that it was its location history appeared to conflict with what some of Nolan's friends have reported. Okay, so really, that's all that really says. Hold on, let me just see when this press conference is scheduled for. Okay, so it looks like, let me go to Ben Crump's Law Center and see if it's on there. Okay, I don't see anything there. Hold on, beloveds. Hmm. Okay, let me check one more thing. It looks like it's supposed to be. Hold on, is this it? Okay, the family of Nolan Wells will share today at 11 a.m. Central Time. Hold on, let me make sure this source is correct. Hold on, beloveds. I think I'm almost there. Okay, so it says that it was 9 a.m. Central Time and 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. World time buddies. Hmm. I don't know. I can't find it. So I don't think it has aired yet because another source is saying 11 Central Time. Hold on, we're getting there. So I think it's going to start at about 12 o'clock. That's what it's looking like because this source says that it starts at 11 a.m. Central Time. Attorney Ben Crump, Reverend Al Sharpton, and the Nolan Wells family are expected to hold a press conference. And this looks like it was posted an hour ago. Now, on Ben Crump's site, it says Attorney Ben Crump and the family of Nolan Wells to speak following meeting with the district attorney investigation. Okay, so, well, it looks like it's going to be about an hour from now when they speak to them, and then they're going to speak after. So what I'll do is I'll just come back. Okay, I'll come back for the press conference because we don't need to sit here and wait an hour. I know, Greta, but it said another source, like I told you, beloved, said 11 a.m. Central Time. Okay, so that's going to be 12 a.m. my time. With that all being said, I'll just come back. That's going to be at 12 o'clock in like an hour. Okay. And here's another one from the News 25. Hold on, let me see what this says here. Attorney Ben Crump and the family of Nolan Wells to speak following meeting with district attorney on investigation. They will hold a press conference immediately following the meeting to share updates on the investigation. News 25 will have live coverage of the press conference when it begins. Okay, so listen, it's up to you all. You all want to stay on here? You all want to stay on here until the press conference starts? Let's just do that. Okay, let's just do that so I don't even have to come back. We'll stay on here till the press conference starts because it's going to be at about 50 minutes, it seems like. That's what it seems like, but let me just make sure. I mean, it's up to you guys. I can come back either way. It's fine with me. Hold on. So what do you all want to do? Lillian said, dang, she'll be at work. Danielle said, that's fine. There are plenty of subjects we can talk about. Y'all are so nefarious. Dan said there's plenty of subjects we can talk about in the meantime. Okay, yes, Queen, let's stay. Okay, y'all are something else. Okay, so listen, we'll just go ahead and stay and wait it out. But with that being said, this broadcast, Lord have mercy, it's probably going to end up being about 4 hours. Okay, if we do that. But nonetheless, okay, we could just keep going. Now, with that all being said, since we're doing that, I could probably also give you all the Carmelo Anthony updates during this broadcast. Alice says, play my music, okay? So let's continue because this young lady, she says, people who don't know anything will kill you. Hashtag Nolan Wells. Okay, so let's get into it. Lights up, everyone, please like and share. We'll just see what everybody's saying about the Nolan Wells case. I think I still want to do Carmelo separately, okay?
Don't know anything will kill you. Case in point, this whole Nolan Wells case could have been taken care of if people were being upfront, being honest, instead of sitting back acting like they're stuck on stupid. It does not take 24 hours to return someone's phone. It does not take the father asking a million times, give me the keys to my son's car. You don't know where it is. All of a sudden, somebody else has to tell you where the keys to the car is in your home. A mother knows her child. We carry our children in our womb. No matter how far, how old you get, we know our kids because we carried them in our body. This mother knows that something happened to her child, and she does not entrust the people that he was around 4th of July to tell the truth. And shame on CNN for blurring out these people's faces. Why are you blurring out the 4th of July picture and only showing Nolan Wells instead of also showing the people that are around them? If they're so innocent, why did they swipe their entire existence off of social media? If they're so innocent, why are they not really sincerely trying to help this family figure out what happened to them? They're acting like they don't know anything. All the way down to CNN. They're giving basic details instead of really, really wanting to get into wanting to know answers, what's going on. If everybody's so innocent, nobody needs to be blurred out. Nobody needs to swipe and take their entire existence off of social media. Give this mother answers so that she can bury her child. I'm so serious. My heart goes out to her because I'm a mother. All we want is answers. And answers need to be showing up real quick. And anybody that has a platform, if you're on social media, y'all need to be talking about this case. Stop trying to sweep shit under the rug. We are people. We are here. These are our children. We should also be taking offense to this. People who don't know anything will kill you. Case in point.
Okay, so let's go to this video from Benjamin Crump. Now, I don't know if we saw this already. This was yesterday. Hold on. You all let me know if I showed you all this yesterday. I have so many receipts I can't keep up. Now, this is from PBS. Nolan Wells family presses for transparent investigation. I think I showed this yesterday. Hold on, let me see something real quick. Here we go. Let's just go to this while I'm trying to figure it all out. Okay.
Family members are pressing for answers in the death of 18-year-old Nolan Wells in Mississippi. Wells disappeared during a 4th of July boat trip with a group of high school friends to an island off the Gulf Coast. Wells, who was black, was the only member of the group who did not return to the mainland. His body was found in the water days later. The friends he was traveling with are white. Authorities say there are no signs of foul play and that Wells drowned, though the investigation remains ongoing. His family is seeking an independent autopsy and calling for a full and transparent investigation into the circumstances surrounding his death.
I would hope that any parent who, God forbid, would be in our situation, I would hope that you would do the same thing. I would hope that you would
ask for any help, receive any help to get answers, because at the end of the day, that's all we want. We just want to know. We just want to know what happened and why our baby didn't come home. Like that's our biggest thing.
We're joined now by the family's attorney, Ben Crump. Mr. Crump, thank you for being with us. What's the latest you've heard from state or local officials about where the investigation stands and what they believe happened to Nolan Wells?
The only thing we've heard is what was suggested at the very beginning before any forensics was done. Seemed like before any interviews or interrogation of any of the witnesses who were on the boat, and that is they don't believe it's any foul play. They think it was an accidental drowning. That has been the suggestion, and that's very troubling for Christine and Elmore, the parents of Nolan Wells, as many of us in the Black community, because we believe that they are trying to sweep this matter under the rug, especially when you think about the history of the state of Mississippi when it comes to Black people being killed in highly questionable situations and nobody ever having any accountability.
Local officials said that the friends are cooperating with the investigation. Is that true? And what explanation, if any, have his friends given for leaving the island without him?
You know, we don't know the level of cooperation the friends are engaging in because they all have retained attorneys. But what Nolan's family and friends feel like, had the roles been reversed and that these had been 3 young Black men and there was only 1 young white man and he ended up dead, that the investigation would be much more zealous, that there would be interrogations, they would be separated, they would be held for all kinds of crimes and misdemeanors until somebody started to talk, that they would challenge the narrative that has been presented, and that being that Nolan voluntarily said he's going to stay behind, and his parents and friends outright reject that. They said that is not of Nolan's character or disposition, and had he done so, would he have ever not wanted his cell phone? We're talking about an 18-year-old kid. And so many things are troubling and conflict when they listen to these narratives, try to explain why Nolan Wells went out with them on the boat. They all came back alive, and Nolan was washed up on the shore unalive.
You shared a photo on social media that appears to show Nolan Wells at a land-based pool party in Jackson County on July 5th. We have the photo there on the screen, and there's a red circle, and he is in one of those red circles. And now this was a day before he was found dead. How does this photo call the timeline into question?
Well, so many people, and that's the thing that gives us hope that we will finally get to the truth of what really happened, because so many young people are talking and they're sharing photographs and they're sharing videos and they're calling our call center and telling us that they were on Horn Island. And so I think the photograph that you're displaying is one that was presented to Nolan's mother and to my office that we shared on social media.
Let me just say something. I have questions as to whether or not that photo was actually taken on the 27th of June or the 4th of July, because it was uploaded on the 5th of July. So it would seem to me that if it was taken on the 27th of June, that it would have already have been uploaded, right? And then that guy has USA engraved in his chest like it was the 4th of July. So with that all been said, I just think that's questionable. I'm not saying that it wasn't taken on June the 27th, but realistically, when we think about it, By the fact that it was uploaded on the 5th, it could likely have been taken on the 4th of July. And, now they're saying that the reason it was uploaded on the 5th was to show honor or memories of Nolan or something like that. Now, that's interesting. Show to pay attention. That's interesting because Nolan's body wasn't found until the 6th. I want y'all to pay attention how they're telling on themselves because Nolan's body was not found until the morning, okay, of the 6th at about 8:45, okay, if I'm not mistaken. So for them to say that, oh, we uploaded it on the 5th because in memory of Nolan, all right, so that's clearly not what you did. What happened is you likely uploaded it as you were uploading a bunch of pictures because they said it was a photo dump, and then you didn't realize that Nolan was in that picture. And when you did, you went and took it down because now it's been removed. Okay, now it's been removed, but let's continue.
To simply say that if people have any information about who's in this photograph, when it was taken, where they were located at when they took this photograph, it would be very helpful because there are many things in that photograph that we think can help build to what was the atmosphere on that July 4th weekend.
There are certainly at this point more questions than answers. What does his family, what does Nolan Wells' family want the public to understand about him beyond the circumstances of his untimely death?
Everybody, not just his mother and father, but everybody who's talked about Nolan Wells talks about what an angel of a person he was, how he was this gifted college football player, student athlete, how he was so considerate during school that he would always try to help people, no matter who they were. They said Nolan's smile would just brighten a room. They talked about how Nolan was a person who was responsible. So that's why they dispute him saying, I'm just going to stay on the island. And when you think about the conflict and the statements between the young lady he was talking to, who said he told her that he was going to get back into the boat with the boys. And then the boys said that Nolan said he was going to stay and talk with her. Obviously, the statements conflict with one another. And that's one of many contradictions and conflicts that are glaring in this case. And so we're just trying to ferociously search for the truth.
Attorney Ben Crump, thank you for joining us this evening. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, so now with that all being said, we're going to go to this report from the, let me see what this is here. Latest details in Nolan Wells' death investigation, autopsy still pending. We're going to go to that, as well as sheriff provides new details on investigation into Nolan Wells' death. Okay, so let's go to that first. Let's hear what Ledbetter has to say, because quite frankly, I don't believe anything he ever says, but that's just me.
Found on Horn Island. As the country sits and waits for the investigations to conclude, many questions are still left to be answered. Today, I spoke with Jackson County Sheriff John Ledbetter on where the investigation stands. Speculation continues as to what happened to 18-year-old Nolan Wells over Independence Day weekend. Jackson County Sheriff John Ledbetter met with WLOX to give what updates he could. However, considering
this investigation is active, it's ongoing,
he wasn't able to confirm much. Ledbetter did confirm that interviews have been conducted with witnesses, and the department has been in contact with other departments and agencies, including the FBI. The investigation has benefited from information brought by the community.
This recent week, we've got a lot of valuable information that has come from the public. We put out a call to action last week for that information, and it has been very productive for us.
Many are preparing for the return of Wells' autopsy. However, toxicology testing is conducted by outside laboratories, and the analysis and review process can take several weeks. A spokesperson for the Mississippi Department of Public Safety states every case is unique and deserves a thorough review. Therefore, cases cannot all be handled the same way or in the same timeline. While theories circle social media, those who are close to Nolan are still waiting for closure, as one friend spoke in an ABC interview.
I think everybody needs to let the investigation continue and let the facts be shown. And if the fact shows that somebody harmed Nolan, I hope that there is justice brought. And if it was a tragic accident and somebody didn't speak up, I still hope justice is brought. The facts is the only thing that's going to overturn that. So that's what I'm just waiting patiently to see before I think anything else. I just know I've lost my best friend.
Okay, so I just got some interesting information about another case of a black man who was out with a white friend in Mississippi and has drowned. This was May the 8th. A man by the name of Chad Pittman, allegedly drowned in Mississippi, and they're saying that 18th of May, and that a white man by the name of John Skinner has fled the state, and that's who was with him. They said he wasn't even really brought in for questioning. I find it all interesting. Okay, let's go to this next clip. Likes up, everyone, please. Get the likes up. Thank you in advance.
Tonight, we continue to follow developments in the investigation into the death of 18-year-old Ocean Springs native Nolan Wells, and new questions are emerging as the family moves forward with funeral plans and seeks answers about what happened on Horn Island. WXXV's Megan Fayard joins us live in studio. Megan, we have new information tonight regarding funeral arrangements that differs from what was previously reported. What are the latest details?
That's right, Aubrey. The Mississippi Coast Coliseum and Convention Center says the Wells family has decided not to hold funeral services at the facility. The announcement comes after reports on Monday indicated the Coliseum Commission Board had approved the venue for the services.
As noted in a statement provided to WXXV on Tuesday, Coast Coliseum and Convention Center Executive Director Sam Voisin says that after meeting with representatives of the Wells family, they support the family's decision to not hold the funeral services at the Convention Center on July 20th. Voisin also says they appreciate the opportunity to have worked with the family during the process, and their thoughts and prayers are with the family as they continue making arrangements to celebrate Nolan's life. Nolan's mother, Christine Wansley, took to social media stating that all official information regarding Nolan's funeral and repast will be posted on her social accounts and through a press release from her legal team. We will, of course, provide updates when additional information is made available. In regards to the Wells-Wansley family's legal representatives, WXXV has reached out to Ben Crump's team seeking clarification and information surrounding statements made by the notable civil rights attorney and his team. Some of those questions are in reference to a video circulating of an alleged argument on Horn Island on July 4th. Crump stated in a press conference held in New York on July 10th that Nolan could be heard shouting in the video. However, an eyewitness shared information with WXXV News stating otherwise.
You hear on the video, Nolan saying, "Give me my freaking phone. What are you freaking doing?"
WXXV has also asked Crump's team for verification on claims that photos and messages may have been deleted from Nolan's phone.
My sister and I actually went through Nolan's cell phone, particularly Snapchat, because that is so popular with the children. And when we opened it up, there was nothing. There were no saved pictures. There were no snaps from that day. And we did open it before the 24-hour expiration. So that's why we feel that things may have been deleted, was because of the fact that there was nothing in either one of his accounts.
Additionally, WXXV has inquired about the results of the independent autopsy, but we have not yet heard back from Crump's team. In regards to the autopsy performed at the Mississippi State Medical Examiner's Office, WXXV has filed a public records request with the Department of Public Safety. We've also asked when that report will be made public, but have not heard back. Autopsy results are still pending. Jackson County Coroner Bruce Lynn Jr. says the coroner's office is waiting for the toxicology report to be returned to the state medical examiner's office before the full autopsy report can be completed. The coroner says the toxicology report is being expedited and that he hopes it comes in this week. As the investigation continues, questions remain about the events leading up to Nolan Wells' death and whether additional evidence could help provide answers for his family. WXXV will continue to follow this story and bring you the latest on air and online at WXXV25.com.
All right. Now, with that all being said, we're going to go to this Facebook post that I shared from a guy named Boogie Lowdown, because apparently Warren's biological mother, okay, she sent him a message and he posted it. And so someone did a video about it. Let's get into it. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance.
Warren Hudson's mother has now sent a statement to Boogie Lowdown on Facebook, and there's a video breaking it down that attorney Ben Crump has reposted. Here is a lot of evidence for you to remember, because they're going to change their story again probably in a couple of days.
So Boogie Lowdown is on Facebook, and when they started talking about the Nolan Wells case, Katie Hudson, Warren's mother, reached out to them, and these screenshots were since deleted, but Boogie Lowdown keeps reposting them. So the mother starts, she talks about how they love Nolan and blah, 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 and that Warren was pleading with Nolan to get on the boat. Please get on the boat. There's so many gaps and discrepancies within this statement, because then she goes on to say that Warren was the first one to notice Nolan was missing. When he was pleading with them to go on the boat. Wyatt was the one who had the boat. Apparently, she went out there. She was there briefly for 10 minutes and took a picture with their son. Wyatt's boat broke down and it was towed in. How was it towed in? Did they call the Coast Guard then? And did they notice anything at that point? Then she goes on to say that Warren was the first one to notice that Nolan was missing. If he was pleading with him to get on the boat, he would have known that he didn't get on the boat, or did he get on the boat? And something happened with the boat. They called the Coast Guard. Did he try to swim back and they let him? What happened? There's so many gaps. She then says that they were the first ones to call the police. No, Nolan's mother was the first one to contact the police. Nolan's mother did say that the friends had contacted the Coast Guard. So did they contact the Coast Guard when the boat was breaking down? Is that when? Or was the Coast Guard contacted twice? Those are public records, and the family has attained Attorney Crump. There's so many questions.
Okay, so now let me ask you all this, because I'm multitasking, beloveds. Did she read the statement? Somebody let me know if she read the statement. Put a 1 in the chat. Put a 1 in the chat if she actually read the statement. I saw she had it on her screen, but did she read the statement? If not, I'll read it. Coast Guard was contacted twice. Supposedly, because remember, they first said they had not been contacted, then they came back and changed it. Nolan's mom didn't get the phone back until 11:55. Apparently, wasn't the first call made by a friend at 11. It's not adding up. Mr. Make It Happen says every 4th of July is the lynching. Well, that is what the claims say. I emailed you a video if you like play it. I'm not sure if you've seen it already, says OG Patrice. Okay, thank you, beloved. So that all being said, let me see here. This press conference is going to start soon. So I'm just going to go to the channel where it's going to be streamed from. Simply Sandra said, I don't believe any of those liars. Honey, I don't either, okay? I absolutely do not. I absolutely do not. Okay, so the live stream will be starting soon. Tay said, I don't think she read it, Queen. Okay, so she didn't. All right, she read parts. Okay, so let me just pull it back up. The likes up, everyone, please like and share. And actually, let me see if I can find the actual post on Boogie Down's channel. Let's see here. What is this? What I tell you, some of these people are so crazy. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to this video right here. Let me see something. Okay, I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to take this off the screen for just a moment.
From claims of Nolan Wells attending a pool party to reports of a fight, there is a lot of back and forth about the final moments of this teen football player who died over the July 4th weekend. We are sorting through the latest developments and what to focus on with a retired detective. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. Okay, so we have these new details about the tragic death of 18-year-old Southwest Mississippi Community College football player Nolan Wells, a graduate of Ocean Springs High, disappeared while boating with friends on Horn Island. It's right off the coast of Mississippi. This was during the July 4th weekend. And by the way, this is an island where there's limited access. You got to have a boat. It's a wilderness area. There's no commercial development. And that says something. That says something about the investigation and what might have happened here. But we know the tragedy of this case. We know that Nolan's body was found that Monday on the island, washed ashore. His family is demanding transparency. They are demanding a full investigation into what happened. They have retained civil rights attorney Ben Crump. They have ordered an independent investigation and an independent autopsy. In fact, Ben Crump told ABC News Live last week that Nolan's body would be flown to Washington, D.C. for an independent autopsy. And by the way, this follows Jackson County Coroner Bruce Lynn Jr.'s announcement that an autopsy is being conducted by the state ME office, but the results are pending because of toxicology test findings that could take several weeks. But authorities reportedly believe that this was an accident, that this was a case of drowning, that there are no signs of foul play at this point, even though they're continuing the investigation. But there are questions. For instance, according to CNN, Nolan didn't return to the dock with his friends that day, and his family didn't understand why he would separate from them, that he was supposed to take a different boat back, but didn't. Nolan apparently didn't have a cell phone with him. There were reports of an alleged altercation that day. According to the sheriff, one of Nolan's friends contacted the Coast Guard on the night of July 4th at around 11 p.m. Nolan's mom called the sheriff's office midday leading into July 5th. The family has concerns about why Nolan just stayed without friends. His mother saying to GMA, that we cannot answer. I can't fathom why he would. His father saying, we always told him if you go with a group, you stay with the group. In fact, Sheriff John Ledbetter previously indicated that Nolan may have stayed on the island rather than heading back to the mainland. But even Nolan's friend, Jayvon Williams, told CNN, quote, "I've never known Nolan to stay back while his friends leave. He's always been a guy where if he rode with you, he's going to come back with you. That's always how he's been every single time." There's also this. Nolan's mother told GMA that they tracked Nolan's phone using the Life 360 app, and they found out that his phone was with his friends, and she claims that it's possible some of the texts and messages were deleted. So a lot is going on, and as this is going on, we have new developments. There is some back and forth we need to talk about. Apparently, there is a video that is circulated online showing what appears to be an argument that day, and some believe that it involves Nolan. This is something Ben Crump discussed in a press conference last week as one of the contradictions or conflicts in this case.
And then the fact, Reverend Al, that they have this video of an argument that is going on. And you know, thank God all young people, they have cell phones, and anytime you hear people raising their voice, they start the video. And so you hear on the video, Nolan saying, "Give me my freaking phone. What are you freaking doing?" And that becomes even more relevant when you think about the story that they are presenting, that Nolan chose to stay behind. That's what they're saying. The glaring contradictions just jump out at you. The fact that he is there with his friends, and you look at all the videos, it seems to be he's the only black on the island, or maybe one other, but not many. And so, Jared, you have where a young woman he was talking to says that, well, Nolan said he was going back to get on the boat with the boys. The boys say that Nolan told them he was going to stay and talk to the young woman. It's a contradiction. They're not saying the same thing. One of them is telling the truth. One of them is not.
Well, here's the thing. According to ABC News, despite Ben Crump claiming last week that Wells was asking for his phone back and that he was part of this argument, Nolan's reported good friend, Tracestin Shepherd, claims that's not the case, that there was no altercation that involved Nolan. He even claimed that Nolan isn't even in the video. Quote, "That's me yelling. There was no talk about a phone in that video. Nolan wasn't on the island."
Okay, so it looks like the press conference has started. Looks like the press conference has started. Let's get into it.
Also agreed that we will have a mutual inspection of the cell phone with our experts and their experts. Attorney Eric Hertz is helping lead the investigation team with former law enforcement experts who are going to help us with the cell phone download. So everybody will be able to see at the same time what the cell phone has.
Now, with that all being said, I hope that Ben Crump's experts are black, okay? I'm sorry, I absolutely do, because if it's all white experts, even his could be sketchy. You never know. All right, that's just how it goes. But let's continue.
Also talked about trying to make sure we dot every I and cross every T. I know that we're getting about 50 calls a day to 100 calls a day from people who were there on Horn Island, people who are familiar with individuals that were there on Horn Island. And so we continue to be steadfast in trying to get to the truth of why Nolan Wells is dead. At this time, we'll have Attorney Hertz say a few words, and then Christine and Elmore will just talk about the homegoing services and celebration for Nolan, and then we'll take a few of your questions. Attorney Eric Hertz.
Thank you. Right now, there's a lot of unanswered questions. We appreciate the district attorney meeting with us, but because of certain types of confidentiality that even the victims are not allowed to know, we did not get all the answers we want. We have an independent investigation going on that involves former law enforcement, federal agents that are going to be looking into all the different information we got. The calls are coming in and we're getting a lot of information. Some of the people that I spoke to are not talking with law enforcement here. We're going to be trying to get them to cooperate with each other because we want to make sure the narrative, which has been put out that is false, is going to be corrected. So at this point, we just ask everybody to keep calling in if you have any information and let us know. And I personally, if we validate you're a legitimate call, we'll call you and talk to you. And I thank you all for showing up today.
And now, Christine and Elmore will just share with you some details of the homegoing celebration for their son.
Hello, everyone. So the homegoing celebration, the funeral will be held at Center Point Church in Ocean Springs. It is going to be, visitation will be 9 to 11, and then the funeral will start after that. The plan is for the repast because, again, we want to celebrate Nolan. And he would not want us to be sitting around crying and eating. And so what we're going to do is kind of have a party to celebrate him, and that'll be held at the Jackson County Fairgrounds. So we really do want to keep it for family and friends. We are going to allow media to come in as well. And lastly,
His teammates.
Oh, absolutely. Teammates. We've already contacted Coach Les George because we want to make sure that those guys are there. Former teammates from high school, middle school, teams that he played against. You guys are all welcome. But of course, we want to make sure that our families for sure and close friends get there. So I do want to just say for those of you, again, if you are having protests, even the day of his service, I am asking you guys to just keep it peaceful. Nolan would never want any type of violence or anything like that. He was not that kind of person. So if you guys would, again, just be peaceful. And to the community, thank you so much. Just the outpouring of love, support. We've had some local officials, Mayor Casey Vaughn from Gaucher has reached out to us. Oh my gosh, I can't even tell you. He has, it's almost been every day. He's been texting to check on us. Also, Jeffrey Hullum, thank you so much. He's been texting pretty much every day, receiving a lot of stories from Nolan's teachers, which just warms my heart, his classmates, teammates. So again, for those of you who have donated to the GoFundMe, once again, I stress, if you are not financially able to, we're not begging for that money, okay? If you're not financially able to, we understand. We thank you for whatever you can give, but if you cannot, if you would just keep us in your prayers. And to his friends, stay strong, and please just take care of your mental health because I know this is a lot. It's a lot for us, and I know you guys are feeling some of that too. So thank you all.
Are there any questions? Yes.
Attorney Crump, Skylar Henry here with CBS News. The last time that you spoke in a setting like this, I know you guys were hoping to get results back from an independent autopsy? I know you mentioned that Nolan had been sent to
Washington, D.C.
Is there anything to share on that front?
Not at this time, but we hope soon, very soon. Obviously, we're concentrating on the funeral services, but hopefully shortly thereafter, we will be able to tell some findings of the preliminary autopsy. Still waiting on some things. And I also, while we're talking about funeral services, want to thank Mr. Tyler Perry for paying for the funeral.
Absolutely.
As well as Colin Kaepernick for helping to shoulder the expense of the independent autopsy. And I thank Reverend Al for agreeing to officiate the funeral services. Yes, sir.
Aaron Gilchrist with NBC News. Mr. Mrs. Lonsley, you said from the very beginning that for you, this was really about getting some answers about what happened to your son. Do you feel like after your meeting today, you have any more clarity on what happened?
Well, it was just a meeting where she talked about the process. She didn't tell us any information about the investigation too much because those things are, as she said, her role and what she has to do. But they still have questions, and that's not insignificant to this meeting. It's just in general. Every morning they wake up and there's a hole in their heart, and they are trying to say, what happened to my son? Obviously, you know, they feel strongly that he would not have just stayed behind. He wouldn't have left his cell phone. And so we're trying to get to those answers.
Attorney Crump, Brian Rose, GC Wire. There's been a lot of misinformation that's been spread online, especially the pool picture that was shared by you. And you had said that.
Well, I didn't share it. I reposted it. We're reposting everything. Let's make it clear. We're reposting everything because we're trying to get people to come in and call. And so we've said from the beginning,
Hold on, I want you to pay attention to that. Crump just stopped him dead in his tracks because he was about to, that reporter, whoever that is speaking, was just about to accuse Ben Crump of spreading misinformation. I said there's been a bunch of misinformation spread online, including that pool picture that you posted. No, he didn't post it. He reposted it. So that means it was already online. Okay, so please sit down somewhere. See, this is what the devils will do.
In a ferocious search for the truth. And so things out there, we are trying to post, ask people, do you know something about this? Let us know. Just because we repost does not mean that we authenticate anything. Look at our social media. We have always been very careful to say this is a repost, and we almost always give a declaration that that's what it is, a repost. And so we want people to continue to call about everything, videos, whatever interactions they saw. And thank God, we are getting dozens of people calling every day saying.
And let me just say this also. Days ago, Benjamin Crump already said that he didn't know when exactly that picture was taken, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, he basically said that, so he's not putting out misinformation, honey. They need to can it.
And I was on Horn Island. This is what I saw. I know these individuals. This is what we know. They said, we understand the sheriff's investigation has hundreds of people calling too. And so the hope is that when this is presented to the grand jury, all relevant witnesses and evidence will be presented to them so that we can have a fair and impartial investigation into the death of Nolan Wells. We were very honest and candid with the district attorney, and she was honest and candid with us. Our lived experiences tell us that we must question everything, everybody's role, law enforcement role. That is the lived experience of us as Black people in America. And
That's
we
right.
will be not honoring the ancestors' sacrifices for us if we did not be
Gotta
honest
preach.
every chance we got when we talk to power. Yes, sir.
Eric mentioned the false narrative out there. Well, I've seen quite a few of those, so I was wondering if you could
tell us which false narrative you're talking about so we can let people know it's not true? Was there a particular false narrative you were
There's a
referring
lot
to?
of narratives out there right now, and
There's a lot of narratives we're going to try to investigate all that.
there's a lot of narratives out there right now. I'm not going to comment on any particular one, but whenever a case this big gets in the news, people try for whatever motivations, law enforcement or whoever, people that call in, try to set up a narrative so that people will follow the narrative. Our job is to cut through all the noise and find the truth. And the truth needs to be found by unbiased investigation, as well as unbiased lawyers and all the people that are out here, all you investigatory journalists and everyone else. We just ask that you keep an open mind until we get to the truth.
And one of the things I will say, we are trying desperately to figure it out. And we don't profess to have all the answers, but boy, we're trying. And so when people call and tell us this is this person, and then we get somebody saying that, no, this isn't that person, we're trying to balance it all. So we want to even be more careful ourselves to make certain that we're trying to get people to come forward. And there are a lot of people who have different perspectives. We're getting that just from the phone calls, that people who were there at the same time are saying different things. But we're going to get there. We're going to get to the truth.
So first, I
yes.
just want to say my deepest condolences to you, Christine and Elmore. My heart hurts. I'm Brady McGill, WLOX here. My heart hurts. I'm Brady McGill, WLOX here at home. But I want to go on and ask you, Attorney Ben Crump, you say that you were talking about the process in there with the DA. Were any affidavits or possible prosecutions or criminal actions presented to her to be signed eventually, or do you know anything
Yeah,
right now?
and as she says, her role is confidential at this point, but so she can maintain her prosecutorial independence. Obviously, I stressed to her very strenuously to say we want you to zealously, you and the sheriff's department, to zealously investigate this matter, and Christine and Elmore share their life experiences too. We know through our lived experiences, our life experiences, and she said that's not how our office operates, but we know in America, in the South, certain people are investigated differently. And we shared that with her. We didn't, ask that she understand our perspective, but we said we should mutually try to understand each other's perspectives, where we're coming from. And we agreed that we will try to do that.
Where are we at in the investigation and autopsy? We're supposed to get it back Friday.
Well, no, we like we said, we're waiting, let the doctors do what they do. They ain't got their autopsy back neither. So we're trying to get it right. And then when we get it, we're going to share it. Yes, ma'am.
On Friday in the press conference, you said that you hear on the video Nolan saying,
yes,
my freaking phone, what are you freaking doing?
That's what a witness told us, and that's what we reported out. Then another witness had come forward and said, no, that was his voice. We have other witnesses who said there were other altercations. So as Mr. Hurt said, we're trying to go through it all and so forth. And we'll be even more careful to say, this is what a witness told us in the future.
And so your team hasn't been able to look fully into that and confirm whether it was or was not Nolan that said
No,
that?
we have audio people doing it, but we know certain people said it was him, and then certain people said it was not him.
Are you worried about the death threats and the violent kind of atmosphere on social media and how these fake videos and photos can play into
Oh my God, I saw a fake video.
Friends getting death threats.
We don't want anybody's life to be in harm's way just because we're trying to get to the truth of what happened to Christine and Elmore's son. We saw fake videos about AI generated videos of Christine, and it's just god awful as they're grieving and trying to fight for the truth.
Let me just stop right there and say this. Yes, there are absolutely fake videos and things like that. People are putting out stuff to muddy the waters and to rage baits, okay? And that is mostly coming from MAGA minions. But I also want to point out when these people are saying that they're receiving death threats, who's threatening them? Who's threatening them? You shut down your social media. So how are these people contacting you? This is what I'd like to know. These people are trying to play the victims, clearly. Okay, the first to come out doing that was Judge Ashley Cole. I would like to know who was threatening her young children. Her social media had been deactivated. So how are these people seeing her children? And how are these people getting in touch with her to, in fact, threaten her children? Okay, and the same goes for the fake friends. These people are trying to play the victims, and that's for a reason, as far as I'm concerned.
That they also having to deal with these fake videos attacking them as they are just trying to literally bury their son next week. But we want everybody to say that we can go through this journey together for the truth. And even though we may have different viewpoints, we can all agree that everybody wants the truth, and nobody life should be threatened for seeking the truth. Nobody should be, presumed accountable until we have evidence. His mother and father only want, and Christine has said it multiple times, she only wants what you would want. If this was your son, if this was your, wouldn't you want desperately to get to closest in proximity to what happened, to be investigated and thoroughly investigated? We know that, if it was Nolan, how would he be investigated? So, one last question.
Really quickly, just curious about the dynamic that you guys have had, Christine and Elmore, with law enforcement up until this point. Have you all been able to speak with the sheriff, any of the lead investigators, since what happened last week?
So that was actually clarified in today's meeting. The DA's office wanted to take over that communications because they do have a victim advocate, which I appreciate. But of course, that wasn't what she, took responsibility and accountability for. But we were not communicated with that information. So for us, like I said before, the last time we actually spoke to someone with the sheriff's department was last Tuesday. That was via text message that I initiated, just asking for an update. So that's the biggest thing is, I appreciate that she took accountability for saying, hey, that was actually our doing. But, we have a setup now. And so the hope is that we'll have that open lines of communication.
So you feel like this was
And Attorney Hertz has a comment on that there.
Let me just say that under the law in Mississippi, a victim is entitled within, I think it's 72 hours to get an incident report and to have certain information shared. It's been more than 72 hours, and that's part of the meeting here today, to start getting the incident report and all that information that we came here to collect, as well as listen to the district attorney and what she had to say.
Did you get that report?
No, not yet. We are working with them to say there need to be better communications with the clients and so forth. So the big things that we know, there's going to be a grand jury into the death of Nolan Wells, and number two, that we're going to have a mutual inspection of Nolan's cell phone. We just want to make sure everybody else's cell phone is also being downloaded. Thank you.
Really quickly, as far as when are the homegoing services?
Monday, 11
Okay. All right, so I'm glad we waited around for that. Now, Nathaniel says, look at the pool picture. Nolan looks afraid. And he didn't look afraid to me. He looked like he was just looking over his shoulder to see what they were doing. And but the young white guy in the front definitely looked afraid, and looked like that big dude behind him had him in a bear hug, I don't know why he had that look on his face, but he clearly looked disturbed. Okay, in my opinion. Now, with that all being said, I'm going to go ahead and conclude this broadcast because I have to come back later. I want to answer a couple of questions in the chat. Okay, Keisha says, Queen, why a party though? Well, that's what they chose to do. You know, that's just what they chose to do. I mean, you've never heard of Black people having a party instead of a funeral? Because I have. It's called a homegoing service, more so. They don't call it a funeral. Some call it a homegoing service or a celebration of life. Okay, we had one of those for my grandmother when she passed away. So with that all been said, that's just what they chose to do because they don't want people to be sitting around crying and being all sad. They want people to remember him with love and laughter, okay? And just to have a good time for it to be more upbeat and high vibrational. I would like to do the same thing when I'm out of here, okay? That's what I'm going to request. So that's likely what that is. And if you think about it, Tupac said, have a party at his funeral, let every rapper rap and all that kind of stuff. So this is just what some Black people prefer to do, okay? Google tries to sweep this under the rug too, like they always do, says AJ. Okay. Now, on that pool picture, I had to blow it up to see if it was Nolan. Right off, it's like a shadow on the back. Count those old white men in that pool. Okay. And you know, in one picture I saw they actually had edited it with some sort of AI or whatever, and they had a totally different person. It was not Nolan, but it wasn't the same picture. You could tell it was edited because the white people that were showing, their faces all suddenly look blurred. Okay, so they clearly are just posting BS out here on the internet to skew the narrative. Okay. Sylvester says no talk about the Black. Hold on. What just happened? Okay, Sylvester says, no talk about the Black on Black crime being, that's weird. Well, Sylvester, he'll talk about the Black on Black crime when you talk about the white on white crime. Okay, you're out of here. Okay, what does Black on Black crime have to do with this man's death? I want you all to pay attention because that just made me think of something. You know, these racist white people, these MAGA million types, what they always do is whenever their people are accused of something, they immediately shift to Black on Black crime. So here's the thing, and let me say this again. The difference is this. First of all, there's no such thing as Black on Black crime. That is propaganda, as I've said 1,000 times at least. But the thing is, and they act as though they don't have crime in their own community, as if white people don't kill other white people, as if they don't do all sorts of nefariousness, as if they're not the ones leading in PDF behavior, as if they're not the ones leading in most of the sexual offenses. Okay, all of them. They're leading in all of them. Okay. Now, with that all being said, they're leading in arson. They're leading in white collar crimes. Okay. That's just what it is. Black people tend to lead in, possibly murder. I would say robbery and burglary, things like that. But at the end of the day, they have a high murder rate amongst themselves because, as I told you all before, white people kill white people at approximately 83 to 86%. Black people kill other Black people at approximately 86 to 90%. So it is very close in proximity. But they always want to do this. You know, even with the police killings of unarmed Black people, that's something they'll immediately bring up. Oh, the Black people are mad about police killing them, but they don't get mad about Black people killing Black people. Of course we do. Of course we do. They just don't want to talk about that. Okay, yes, we absolutely do get upset about that, and we hold our own people accountable. That's what we do. What we don't do is when our people have done something nefarious or accused of doing something nefarious to a white person or any other race or ethnic group, what we don't do is start going to those races and say, well, what about the crime amongst yourselves? What about white on white crime? Okay, what about Asian on Asian? We don't do that because it's obtuse. Okay, that is what MAGA millions do. Okay, and so with that all being said, I'm going to conclude this broadcast. I want to thank you all for tuning in once again. Please like, share, subscribe, and all of that. And I will see you all later for the next broadcast, okay, which will be starting probably around 6:30 or 7, somewhere in between there, okay? So I want to thank you all for tuning in once again. Okay, each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And always remember, beloveds, to keep the Most High first in your lives. And just for the record, for those of you who may have missed it, on the next broadcast, we're going to be talking about Carmelo Anthony, the updates on his case, as well as Daniel Irving, the press conference and information on his drowning death. Okay, so until then, I will talk to you all again soon. Peace.
no neck. Hit him with that flavor.
Gold all in my skin, God all in my blood. Kings all in my circle, you touch one of mine and you're done. They show no love for the queen, why you hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans? I got dreams like King Luther, shed blood like Kunta. You ain't helping my people, I ain't got nothing to say to ya. I want all the smoke like hookah. Talking reparations, America won't be great until they give us compensation. I'm like, I'm the hottest right now.
That's
See
right.
a bunch of lames out here trying to jock on my style. They be doing too much. I'm the queen, it's too easy. It's like they all at Popeyes, how they be talking so greasy.
Real slick.
I just sit back and laugh while these haters get madder. So nefarious how they don't want my pockets with cheddar. I tell them they can do better. These snakes in the grass can leave a bite on your ass, cause y'all be trusting too fast. I got my foot on the gas, other one on they necks. Dropping receipts on haters, you better show some respect. I'm never facing regrets, we only facing the threats. Running through every challenge like a relay, break no sweat. It's a cold game, so I got that blanket with me. Now that my people awaken, ain't no going to sleep. I do not play by my piece, this time I'm playing for keeps. You talking slick, but when I see you like them ends, we gon' meet. And I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood. Kings all in my circle, you touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen, why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood. Kings all in my circle, you touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen, why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got